Hello and welcome to episode 29 of the Cat Lady podcast. I'm Andrea, known as the Cat Lady. That's 2T, CATT, craft all the things. Welcome any new viewers. This is going to be slightly more chatty than normal. I'm chatty, but this might be a little more chatty because most of this is going to be about my trip to Rhinebeck. My adventure to Rhinebeck. I have a few projects I'm showing. I have a decent amount of stash to show, so yay. But as far as I don't have any spinning, I don't have any sewing, I don't have anything else, a couple knitting things. So anyways, but welcome. Please feel free to check the back episodes and see if I'm somebody you like to watch more. I didn't meet a lot of people at Rhinebeck, so I'm hoping they check me out too. So if you were at Rhinebeck and I saw you, then hello again. I was wearing my ears to Rhinebeck, so I figured I'd put those on today. I'm actually in my pajamas. It's 7:30 at night. I've been volunteering with my daughter's school, so I can't record on Monday mornings. I hemmed and hawed. I tried to take a nap this afternoon because I'm tired from all the traveling. And I just said, let's just do it because I have all these pretty things that I want to play with and take out of the wrappings and whatever, and I can't until I record, so I'm just going to do it. My husband's gone this evening. My kids are in bed, even though I'm sure I'll be interrupted, but anyways. So it's October 19th, 2015. It's Monday at evening, 7:30-ish Eastern time, so I'm in Michigan. So yes, I'm in Michigan and I drove all the way to New York to go to Rhinebeck. So it was a pleasant drive, but it was long. So you can find me on Instagram as the Cat Lady, on Facebook. I have a Facebook group. Just search the Cat Lady Podcast. I have a Ravelry group, Cat Lady Podcast. Actually, Facebook, I think, is just the Cat Lady, craft all the things. And I'm also on Periscope, which and I guess a newer thing is called CATT, K-A-T-C-H. I have that link to my Periscope, so whenever I do a Periscope, the CATT will save the video so that you can watch it later, because Periscope only keeps it for 24 hours. So now all my videos since Friday are on CATT. And I post all the show notes on my blog, which is thecatlady.blogspot.com. Yeah. So I will update the show notes for last episode too, because I have not yet. So I have lots of show notes to do for last week and this week. So I will try to do my best to get all those show notes up from last and whatever. So yeah, I'm a mess. My hair is a mess. This is what I look like 90% of the time, probably. So, and I am a little sinusy and stuff, so yeah. So anyways, I'm dedicated to the podcast, so I just wanted to get it done. I'm in my basement with my cats. My cats stay in my basement right now. Long story, past episodes explain that. So, but usually I've been doing my introductions the last couple episodes in the basement so I can hang out with the cats, which I don't think they're going to be too around. One's laying on the bag and the other one's cleaning herself in the corner, so may not make an appearance today. But I'm just gonna do the whole thing down here today, so maybe they'll come around. So anyways, so this week we'll do some podcast news. The sections this week will be podcast news, a little bit of knitting, stash part 1, which is some stash that was not related to Rhinebeck, or the Rhinebeck review, and then which leads into stash part 2, which was at Rhinebeck. So jumping right in, and one of my cats just used the litter box, so great. On to podcast news. We have one intro this week, and if you are new and you want to say hello in the introductions thread, please come say hi, and I will say hi to you on the podcast. So this week it's Mitzi Curry, and it's Mitzi from Grosse Seal, Michigan. So she's a fellow Michigander. So hello, Mitzi. She learned to knit when she had mumps using pencil, either a pencil or chopstick, she said, and some string. So her mom kind of just gave her some pencils and string and taught her how to knit. So she said she's been pretty much self-taught for 50 years. So that's really kind of a crazy story. So thanks for sharing that. So welcome to the group. And I think she said she found me via YouTube, oh, check this one out. So that's pretty cool too. Also in podcast news, we're doing the CATT along, which is C-A-T, as opposed to our CATT along last summer, which was C-A-T-T. So this is actually related to cats or animals. So you can knit something for your animal. You can knit something with an animal-themed pattern, an animal-themed fabric, you know, sew something. Animal themed yarn. I know there's yarns that are named after different animals and stuff, so it's just an animal themed along, craft along. So we already have one entry. It's this gorgeous blanket by Linda, who I actually contacted because she posted it like 5 minutes after I opened the thread. She's like, I have this blanket. Or maybe it wasn't 5 minutes, but it was like pretty soon after. And I'm like, wow, did you really make that today? She's like, I'm sorry, I prepped the fabric beforehand, but I did sew it today. And I said, oh, well, that's fine. You sewed it today. So, I mean, I'd say it counts. So she just had the stuff cut out, but she assembled it and sewed it the day the along started. So it's in, and it's good, and it's beautiful, and it's got kitty cats all over it. So how can I say no? I just wanted to make sure it wasn't something she like made a month ago and said, oh, I have this. So, but she actually made it for her mother-in-law. So I'm going to be taking lots of drinks today. I'm a bit of a mess. So, and you guys stay out of there. They're all staring at me. Stay out of there. Trying to jump in my stash bag. So please come join the catalog. It started October 15th and it'll run through December 14th, 15th. I have decided if I want to. Monday, when I usually record, will be December 14th. So do I want to just cut it off then and draw? Probably. I don't know though. So we'll see. Or do I just do a special drawing on the 15th? I don't know. But I guess we'll see how many entrants we got, and maybe I'll extend it another week after that. But in conjunction with me, Sarah from the Canadian Knitter podcast is also doing the catalog. So stay tuned for her thread to come up soon. Maybe we will extend it because she hasn't gotten her thread up yet. So maybe we'll add another week to it or something to extend the along. But we're both going to have separate prizes, but please feel free to enter both. So if you enter hers, you can enter mine. If you enter mine, you can enter hers, and she'll have different prizes than me. I'm going to make a bag. I haven't decided what exactly yet, and I'll put in some extras in there too. So stay tuned for prizes as they come in. If anyone has any donations of prizes, please let me know. I'm always happy to take donations of giveaways. So especially if you have like an Etsy store or something, because then of course I can promote that too. So, but I'm trying to think along the lines of an animal themed giveaway prize too to go with it. So that's all for podcast news. So again, stay tuned for the Canadian Knitter podcast catalog thread as well, and make sure to put both in there. So on to knitting. So I finally picked up my socks again, which I know I talked about briefly. Yep, I was almost to the heel last time I talked about these socks. No, stay out of there. And so now I did the heel. And these are my Gummy Bean Jelly Bear socks because I don't know how to talk and can never get the colorway right. It is the Knit Picks Gummy Bear color, the Fleechy. And last I talked, I was about close to the heel. So I officially turned the heel and started up the cuff. So these are coming along pretty well. It's a little slow. I definitely always have the second sock syndrome where I whip through the first one and the second one takes a lot slower. So, but they're getting done. These are with my size zeros, the Premier Yarn DPN, so Deborah Norville, whatever, from Joann Fabrics. And my first sock is 64 stitches and it was a little snug. This one is 68 stitches, and of course I haven't really tried it on because it's hard to try on with DPNs and I hate pulling them off, the stitches off, and having to put them back on. So we're just gonna wing it because it's comfortable. I'll wear this sock. It's just the fabric is just stretched a little much more than I prefer. So I'm hoping this one fits better. My stripes are gonna be a little off now because of the different sizes, which is fine. I'll get over it. But so the bottom half matches, but then when you get to the midsection here, so the first sock has this little tiny blue patch. Well, this one's got the pink and a little bit of, it's got pink and then a little bit of like whitish, real super light blue, whatever it is. So they're going to be matching at the bottom and not quite matching at the top. So, oh well. But they kind of start to line up again, actually. So it's not too bad. So it's only that one little middle section because the heels, of course, are now different colors too. So this heel is mostly pink, this heel is mostly the blue. So, and using my little DPN holder from Andy Pinecone on Ravelry. And if you are familiar with the drinking game started by the Uncreative Crafter Jen, this will be a heavily drinkable game episode because, of course, Rhinebeck, lots of podcasters, and I got some stash from lots of other podcasters, so, and that's two. And Sarah. I need lots of water, so I'll just play along today. But this game is caught on pretty quick, so I never figured I should participate too. So it's in my candy corn bag. This is my just kind of standard sack kind of bag, so I really like it. And actually what I did, I decided to, I had an old glasses case. So this is now my notions. So I have my ruler, some stitch markers, crochet hook, scissors, kind of keeping everything in here, which works out pretty well. I'm going to just stick that in the bottom of the bag, so I always know where all that is. So next is my sock yarn blanket. I got quite a few squares done on my blanket this week because I was prepping all these minis to give out at Rhinebeck. So I had a stack of minis that I wanted to break up and give to all my friends, and then I just decided to start working on my blanket because the Uncreative Crafter Jen uses 3 gram minis, or actually 2 grams or 1.5 or something. Tiny. Her squares are like this big. Like, she shows it on our podcast, but it didn't look that small. That I saw in person, I'm like, oh my god, those are tiny. So yeah, she uses like nothing. So it's like every time I finish one of my squares, I have like, she could probably make 2 out of them. So I gave her like a giant Ziploc bag full of all these like total like small that I couldn't give to anyone else. So I was working on my squares to give her squares. So I'm not sure exactly where I left off. I want to say I left off on the Cupcake Yarns Juicy Pear. So I've got and that was from Andy Pinecone. I'll take drinks at the end of this, I guess. This is the Jingle Felici from the Canadian Knitter. This is like Crunching Leaves, something leaves. Also Cupcake Yarns from Mandy. This is Rainbow Dash, 3 Irish Girls? No. You Who Knits? I should have wrote it down. It'll be eventually in my project page, but this is Rainbow Dash by another VKN friend, Ramona. And this is Cascade Heritage from Sarah. And then this was another one, Mexican Red Knee, also from Sarah. I can't remember the company, the name, the yarn company, but this one was really cool. I like this one. Then I started row 2. So it's officially the length that I want it. I think it's 20 squares. Fits across the width of my queen size bed. So I started row 2. So now I just need to build it up. So then this is another one from Sarah that is unknown. And if you know it, Sarah, tell me what it is. She sent me a whole bag full like I showed before, but none of them are labeled, so, you know. And then this is another one. This is another one from Ramona. That was a hand dyed. It was a Knit Pick Stroll base, and she dyed it herself and called it Grapefruit Sunrise. So that was a pretty one. So just take one big sip for that. So yeah, I got quite a few. How many squares did I get done then? If I left off on the green, which I think is pretty sure that's where I left off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. It's pretty good. And all that is all my minis almost. My minis are all in my girl bag. It's kind of my sweater bag prototype. So now it's my mini sack. And the last part of my knitting, I recast on the Viajante by Martina Beam. Never gonna get it right. Because when I originally cast it on, I can't even remember what size needles. I was using double points. And then I read the instruction that said increase to 100 and something stitches. I'm like, okay, this is never going to work on double points. So I had to borrow some needles. So I borrowed some needles from a woman in my local knit group, Muriel. And these are Knit Picks size 3s, which now reading the pattern, it was supposed to be 3 millimeters. These are 3.25, so I'm just going with it. So they probably should have been 2.5s, but they're 3. So I cast this on at Rhinebeck, well, in the hotel on my Friday night. So I'm considering this my Rhinebeck project for next year. I'm probably not going to Rhinebeck next year. I think we've decided that a group of us are going to try to go to Stitches Midwest in Chicago. But still, it'd be fun to have a Rhinebeck sweater. Maybe if I finish it by Stitches, well, I'm not like I can wear it. It's in a convention center. I might be able to wear it. It might be chilly. I don't know. So this is my Rhinebeck Voyage. So that's the front. Yep. So not very far. But I'm using my stitch markers from Sue, who is from Two Tangled Skeins, or this is her spin-off company, I guess, The Tangled Skein. So you can order stitch markers from her Etsy store. So those are perfect size for these, because this is such a thin yarn. It's kind of like light fingering. This is the Michael's brand Loops and Threads Wool Like, and it's in the mauve color. Totally matches my shirt. So it's very soft. So so yes, I will link all this stuff in the show notes, of course. So that's all that I was working on. So not much. So, oh, another thing I want to notice in podcast news I forgot to mention is a podcaster. The podcaster that my first podcast I ever watched. One of the podcasters that I was watching, I'm like, this would be great. I really want to do this. She took a 7-month hiatus, and she's back, and it's Knitting Annie. So if you want to check out another podcast, go to Knitting Annie's podcast. She's on Ravelry, she's on Instagram, she's on a website. Everything's kind of outdated right now, but YouTube, just go to YouTube. I'll put a link in the show notes. But I love her. She's so sweet. She's more of a spinner, and she's like a great spinner. And she's also what kind of started getting my wheels spinning about spinning. So I mean, she has no idea that I exist, but I was so excited that she has a new episode. So I checked out her new episode, and yeah, she's got lovely spinning projects and knitting projects, and she preps her own fleeces all the time. So I did ask her a question today that if she could talk about washing fleece, because I'm still kind of still feel like I'm not doing it right. So anyway, so check out Knitting Annie. She's really cool. And she's also on the East Coast, so in Connecticut, I think. So she's pretty fun. So that's it. Yes, I had that written off to the side because I filled up this side. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to talk about her. So okay, so that's it for everything I've worked on. I have not worked on anything else. So on to stash, part 1. So before I left, so literally Thursday, my mail day, I think it was Thursday, I received 2 packages. I'm like, or maybe, I don't remember. They were back-to-back Wednesday, Thursday. I want to say I got them both on the same day, though. And one of them I knew was coming. The other one I forgot that I knew was coming. So I was very surprised. And then I had to check my messages. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. I did send you my address. So the first item, this one first, was from Laura Claire. Hopefully it's okay. Oh yeah, she's got a store, so I'm sure she's totally fine with me talking about her. She's got an Etsy store, Laura Claire Crafts. She's a knitter, spinner, weaver, seamstress. She's just got a little handwritten card here. Oops, I'm gonna totally blow out. There it goes. So she's on Etsy and Instagram as Laura Claire. In the back there. And she sent me this really cool postcard, Pulp Fiction. That's pretty neat. So, hope you enjoy these little bits and pieces of yarn. So she sent me some of them that were kind of bigger chunks like that. Maybe it could be short socks or something for the kids, or who knows. But Rio de la Plata 4-ply sock, multicolor, not superwash. So this is real pretty. So, but yeah, I'll use some of these for the minis, and then who knows, maybe superwash wool nylon, hand dyed. No idea what the base is. Beautiful though, it's real pretty pink. Please don't get on my stuff, Sadie. Nitpicks Imagination, either an Evil Stepmother or Wicked Witch. And this is, I think, an alpaca. Not superwash. One of my dogs ate the halfway completed sock project. This one's really cool too. Wisdom Yarns Poems Sock in Rainbow Bright. I'm gonna have to weigh some of these. I don't know if yeah. To see if I can get like some short socks out of that or something, or some mitts or something, I don't know. And then Patton's Croy. Some hand spun. I love getting hand spun from people. I just absolutely love it. So I will actually, you know what I'm gonna have to do? Same with the other hand spun I got. I'm gonna clip off a sample of it and spin it up and tack it on my bulletin board, because I just love having all these. That's a lot. It's a lot of work that goes into this. So it's like I just love to see other people's work and kind of look at it and be like, yeah, mine looks kind of like that too. I'm not doing so bad either. So hand dyed from cream colored yarn cone, some kind of cone. So she does some dyeing. So check out her Etsy store. Madeline Tosh Light in Toast. So these will all be perfect for the blanket. And another hand dyed little cone of yarn. And that was it. That was a lot. So thank you, Laura Claire. I did send you a note. Hopefully you got it. That was very, very cool. So, and then the next package I got was from Amanda, Stitching You and More. Also, her Etsy store, she's kind of been new to the Etsy game the last couple months, is Stitched Together 4G. Show notes on the blog. And she makes bags, and she sent me a bag. So I was not expecting the bag. I was expecting something else. So I got a little bag. So I got some real pretty paisleys, pink and green. Pretty green, green and yellow interior. So little pink cords. So this she calls her only child, I think. It's a sock size bag. So it's a very nice bag. So can never have enough bags. And then what I was expecting was the tiniest needles on the planet. She sent me a size 00, and these are Chowgoos. So 00, and then, which I didn't even know existed, 000. So frankly, I'm going, and these are both, 32 inch and 40 inch. So actually I could magic loop on these too, which maybe my next pair of socks, maybe, we'll think about it, will be 00 magic loop. 2 at a time. Maybe. I'm at least going to do 1 at a time, on the 00s, just to see what happens. Because I'm still not sure I'm 100% sold on the zeros. So let's see what the 00s do. I really don't know if I'll ever use 000s. That just seems scary. I mean, seriously. I mean, at least they're metal. If these things were wood, then they would just snap. I feel like the zeros are always giving under me when I'm trying to jam them in there, so I feel like these will just bend too. But we'll see. So, oh, and then a little chai tea. Always nice to have some tea to try. And a card. So thank you, Amanda. I actually have something for you too, but I'm just as bad at mailing as you are, apparently, so someday you'll get it. Maybe at Stitches next August. So anyway, so that was Stash Part 1. So on to the big showstopper, Rhinebeck. So 2 weeks ago, like literally like 2 weeks ago, I decided to go to Rhinebeck. And I kind of just like, hey, hubby, you know, I'm thinking maybe let's all take a trip to New York. There's a festival I want to go to. We can all go. And then he's like, well, maybe. And then he's like, why don't you just go? I'm like, okay, that's a good idea. So then I scrambled. It was a Sunday. to looking for a hotel. Everything in town, most everything in town was booked. A few places were available, but they were like $300 a night. No, not really in the budget. So I start looking outside of town. So I get about an hour out. Super 8. Like $80 a night. Okay, we can get behind that. Like, okay, I know it's gonna be dumpy. It's gonna be, it's an $80 a night room. It's not gonna be like fancy or nothing, whatever. I just need a bed. Just needs to be a place to sleep, right? Good, okay, whatever, we book it. I don't know what the cat's doing now. And fast forward to the week before, I call, okay, my confirmation's still good. All right, good. So Friday morning, I got up and I get Emily off to the bus. I took David to school. I arranged for someone to get Emily off the bus already. You know, Jim was going to pick David up after, David staying a full day at school, at preschool, and Jim was going to pick him up after work, blah, blah, blah. So coordinated all that, we're good. I packed all my stuff, got all my knitting, you know, all that fun stuff. So I left about 8, I got on the road about 8:30. Well, for some reason, I didn't use the bathroom before I left. So like 9:30, I was still in Michigan, and I stopped, use the bathroom. So I took my first pit stop. And I got hash brown at McDonald's. On the road again, I stopped just over the Pennsylvania border. So I drove straight through Ohio with no stopping. And then, I don't know what I'm doing. And then went to just some random gas station, filled up, went to the bathroom. And then, so I started into, and yeah, I think those were only 2 stops I made. And then I had to have stopped one more time for gas, probably. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I must have stopped one more time for gas because I think I needed to stop twice for gas. So once I'm, maybe, I don't know. It doesn't matter. You don't care where I stop for gas. I did do periscopes though while I traveled to New York. So if you go to that catch.me and find the cat lady, then you can see all my little periscope updates. So actually, if I go back and look at those, I'll see where I stopped. I can figure out how to get them off the catch. I don't know if I can get them off there, so I would, or else I would maybe insert them in. But if you are interested in watching me blab on about how I'm driving to Rhinebeck, then you can check that out. So they're not that exciting. So then I got into New York, crossed into the New York border close to sunset. So it's starting to get a little dark. Starting to get a little nervous. The roads are really windy and I'm not familiar with the area, of course, and it was getting dark. It's like, okay, I really hope I'm getting there soon. By the time I got off the exit, it was dark. It was Middletown, New York, and I pull off the exit and it's very busy. It was a very busy, active area. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. So I could see the hotel from the exit. So I'm like, okay, good. So I just get off, I get in the hotel. I walk in. Yeah, it's a Super 8, you know. Very pungent smelling carpet deodorizer-esque, you know, like just like over cleaning, except it's not clean. So it's just like trying to pretend you're cleaning. I don't know, because the carpets were like just practically black, just, you know, dirt covered. And this was just the hallway. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Check in, cool. Some random people loitering around. I'm like, okay. So go up to the 2nd floor to my room. And again, the smell in the room. It's like excessive use of Febreze or something, you know, just something, just heavy deodorizer everywhere smell. And again, the room, I'll post a picture of the room. Looks okay at first glance. But then when you're sitting there in the bed, it's kind of like, there's weird stains here. Peeling wall there. TV is literally like knee level because there's like a small table-ish chest of drawers that's like up, literally like up to my waist or something. So tiny little tube TV, like who the heck uses those? That's like terrible, you know, terrible TV. Dust, of course, dusty everywhere. Like things never been dusted. But you know, I'm alright. So I'm like, well, I don't really, I was gonna meet for dinner with Sarah, but Sarah did, the Canadian dinner, but Sarah did not come in until like closer to 8. And she's like, you know, maybe we should just, and she was 15 minutes away. So I said, she asked for the address. I gave her the address. I said, it's about 15. It's very trafficy here, though. It's very busy. And she's like, well, maybe we should pass. I'm like, yeah, maybe that's a good idea. It's fine. I was tired, too. Wasn't really that hungry. I packed a lot of snacks, so I ate a lot of snacks on the way. And they apparently had the best dinner of their life in their hotel. So from carryout. Well, I had a Coke and a milk and 3 Musketeers because I went to the vending machine. So yeah, I walked to the vending machine. Oh, sorry, I can't hear in my mouth. I walked over to the vending machine, pretty much terrified too, because it's like I'm starting to realize this really isn't the greatest place. Lots of noise, lots of people yelling, stomping around and stuff. Random vacuuming throughout. And okay, it's 7:30, 8 o'clock. Okay, fine, I guess. I still don't quite follow that, but just wait, there's more. So I get to the vending machine, which there was no vending machine on the second floor. It was only on the first, so I kind of wandered the second. I'm like, okay, there's no vending machine, so I go ahead upstairs. Meanwhile, I'm barefoot, or I'm in my socks, because I wasn't even thinking. I didn't put my shoes back on. I'm like, what did I do? Oh, okay, when I realized there wasn't one on the second floor, I went back in, put my shoes back on, and then I went downstairs. So I'm like, I'm not walking downstairs with my socks on. So I get my Coke and my candy bar, and go back to the room. I'm like, all right, and then I start just thinking more, and like, yeah, I don't know. I started Googling, like, how to check for bed bugs. And then my husband had made some comment, too, like, not more than, like, 20 minutes later. Don't bring home bed bugs. I'm like, oh, sorry. Yeah. So I got my little phone flashlight and was lifting up all the corners, looking for little bugs all around the 4 corners of each bed. I then got a towel out of the bathroom and kind of laid it over my pillow. I'm like, okay, where am I? And I'm like, okay, whatever. I just gotta get through the night. I'm starting to Google like other hotels to see if there's anything else. Everything's booked. Call Sarah's hotel just for the heck of it because it's 15 minutes away. I'm like, and she seems to, you know, she's like, it's kind of yucky, but it's fine. I'm like, mine's really bad. So, I called, I think I did that the next morning, actually. I called the next morning. Or did I call that night? I don't remember. All the little details are fuzzy, but they were booked, of course. So, I'm like, okay, I just need to get through the night. You know, watch a little TV. I cast on my Viajante show. Did a couple rows. I was tired. So I'm like, okay, it's like 9:30-ish. Decided, okay, I'm gonna go to bed. So I thought. Every 5 minutes or so, there's sirens going off outside. Kind of check outside, look, see if my car is still there. The people next to me are like screaming. There's kids in there. There's like 3 kids. They gotta be like 7, maybe 7 and up, you know, like older but not old kids, you know. So they're like just having a fit over something. I don't know what. And they're stomping, and every time they stomp, like TV rattles, and I'm like, oh, great. And there's some lady like hacking up a lung somewhere, like just, like, I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm by the stairs. So like every 5 minutes, slam, because the door is not like hinged properly. So it just slams shut. So like, all right. And I'm leaving the lights on because I'm like, I don't want to turn off the lights. I left the light on. And I kept switching which light because I was like, okay, I can't sleep with the light on. So finally I'm like, all right, I'm turning off all the lights. And well, I guess it didn't matter because the street lights were so bright on the parking lot that it just like illuminated the room in orange, even with like the blackout curtains. They all just like, it was like alien encounter type, you know, it was like, so it was still pretty bright in there. So I took some NyQuil at like 11. I'm like, okay, this will knock me out, right? Just go to sleep, be done with it. Nope, people still screaming and stomping. Until, and then like after 11, vacuuming again. Someone was vacuuming somewhere. People still coming up the stairs, slamming the door. Lots of unsavory people, mind you. It sounded like from what I could tell. So I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking in my head, I really don't want to come back here. Please don't make me come back here. So it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm still kind of like, I probably dozed in and out between midnight and 2 at some point. So then the people finally settled down next door, but they left their TV on. So all I hear, like, and it's like the sharing the wall apparently, because it's like all night. Oh my God. So then it's 4 o'clock. Like, so like by 5, I'm like, all right, I'm up. Was never really asleep, so I guess I'm getting up. I felt okay, so I must have slept in there somewhere, and I was excited because it was Rhinebeck. But I was also terrified because I'm like, what the heck am I going to do? I do not want to come back here. I am just freaked out. I do not want to come back here. I started chatting. Cats are going to fight. Okay, anyways. Started chatting with my little group. So Sarah, Jen, Rachel, Tanya, Mandy, Amanda, Sue, Lynn, all the podcastery weekenders. So like, hey, this was the worst night I've ever had in my life. How are you? And I said, maybe I'll just drive home tonight. Like after the festival, I'll just go home because that's just too much. And no, so Sarah talked to her husband Garrett. She's like, hey, we have an extra bed. Why don't you just crash with us on Saturday night? Because I was planning to drive to her hotel anyways, and we were gonna carpool to Rhinebeck. So she's like, just stay with us. Don't drive home. I'm like, all right, if I can get out of my room, I would love that, because I really was like, literally terrified of just either getting bed bugs or my car getting stolen or just, yeah, not making it out alive. Not that bad, but pretty bad. So thankfully, thank you to Sarah and Garrett for letting me crash, because yes, that was probably awkward because, you know, like, okay, hey, I don't really know you. I know you, but I don't know you, and you're gonna come hang out in my room. So, but we had a good day together. So, and I slept wonderfully the second night. So, anyways, I woke up I got dressed, I packed, I did everything. I was out the door by like 7, and I checked out, and I had a crappy continental breakfast because I figured I don't know what else I'm doing to eat. So, and both Frosted Flakes and ate like 2 sips of like the worst coffee I've ever had, and I just left it in the parking lot because it was disgusting. So, and then I headed over to the Sarah's Super 8, which was also a Super 8, 15 minutes away. Holy crap! It was like it was night and day. I mean, it is what it should have been. It was a dumpy little old hotel, but it was not the Murder Inn that I was staying at, that had been touched or updated since it was built in the 70s or whatever, the 80s, whatever Super 8s were built. But yeah, so I didn't fear bed bugs in her room like I did in mine. I didn't have to check the mattresses. So, so yeah. So I made it out alive, made it to Sarah's in the morning, and then we took the drive to Rhinebeck. It was about an hour. Parking was very well organized. It was busy, but they had like the police directing people in, and they had people directing pretty much, you park here, you park here, you park here. And we got pretty decent parking. It was pretty close to the entrance. We were there right when it opened, pretty much 5 minutes to 9. So we got in line, we got our tickets, and we went in. So it was pretty seamless. Oh, we wandered around a few buildings. I don't know if I should show things as I buy them. Maybe we'll just, I don't know, I can't really ask you what you prefer, but maybe we'll just show you things as I went and just make this a story time. So we wandered into one of the first little barns. They were like kind of like barns. There was like a building, like convention center style place, and then there was all these different little barns. And it was a fairground, so that's probably where they kept the animals and stuff. And both cats are like pooping. Seriously. So the first little barn we went into, I saw a display that was selling yarn, like neon-esque yarn that, no, he's peeing outside of his litter box. Seriously, this is why my cat stays in the basement, because he stands in the litter box and then pees out of it. Because he's mentally challenged. So anyways, so we came across the Wild Hair Fiber Studio, and I got this really cool Halloween yarn, and it's called Halloweeny. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 460 yards, 100 grams. But it glows under a black light, so it's pretty cool. And I don't have any Halloween yarn, so I love Halloween. So this will, obviously I don't think I'm going to make a pair of socks before Halloween because I'm running out of time, but maybe I could at least start them. No, not if I'm gonna, I'm still, these I gotta save for next year because I gotta wait to see what my sock formula is. So I gotta use up my other sock yarn first. I'm not gonna experiment on this though, but this was my first purchase, so I thought that was a pretty good purchase. So we moved along and went through a couple of buildings, and then I was shortly after I got there, Jen, the Uncreative Crafter, had texted me and said, "Hey, I'm here. I'm just taking drinks." When I mentioned them, but I'm being modest about it, I guess. She's like, "I'm in building C, I'm into the whirl, and the line is huge." And yes, that was one of the, building C was like the most chaotic building ever. Miss Babs and Into the Whirl and Loop were all like impossible. So she was in line for like 20 minutes probably, if not longer, I don't know. So she was in there, I'm like, okay, well at this point we're like, okay, well we'll head over to building C. Sure. So we get over to building C, and yeah, it's a madhouse. Probably took us, and yeah, we made our loop around. Well, by the time we made it to where Into the Whirl was, she had already passed through there. So we wandered into building B and then building A because they were all connected, and popped out, and we're like, okay, well, that was pretty cool. That's pretty crazy. I didn't buy, or did I buy? Yes, I did. Okay, so when I'm building C, and this I blame mostly on Lynn, but Sue too, because you know, she talked about it too, but Lynn's actually working on it right now from Two Tangled Skeins. But this is the Xanadu from Bijou Basin. It is 100% cashmere. So this stuff is like a knitting with a cloud. And it's I really liked the teal, I liked the colors, but I thought, you know, for something that is just smooth as cashmere, I thought maybe I'll stick with simple, neutral, that I can like use it to dress up, you know, make a nice little shawl or scarf to wear out, and it'll go with everything. Because if I get teal, okay, what am I going to wear it with? I don't own anything teal or, you know, purple. You know, I have a pink dress it would look nice with. I have a blue and white dress, navy and white dress it would probably look good with, but so I thought, yes, this could be a nice dressy shawl. And then when I was checking out, she's like, "Do you have a pattern? Do you have an idea for this?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Would you like one?" I'm like, "How much is it?" She's like, "It's free." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Yes. Yes, please. I will take a free pattern." So I got the pattern that the yarn was kind of designed for. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do it yet, but it is the Mia Shawl by Mari Chiba. And so it's just kind of like a shawlette. I'm trying to show this picture without giving away the pattern. I don't know if this is a free pattern or not, but I don't want to. Or if it was just free with purchase, but it's a good close-up of the pattern there. Oh, real pretty, and they had it hanging on display, and I was like, oh, that's nice. Yeah, that would be nice. So, let's see if it's on Ravelry, because I would like to see other people's knits. So yeah, it's not, yeah, here, so this one doesn't show any patterns. So, it's not very big, it's kind of just like the shawlette, which I do, I like shawlettes, but, you know, and it's only, let's see, so it's 100% cashmere, it's 400 yards, and I think it's considered a light fingering, or a heavy lace. I think they call it a light fingering, maybe. I don't know, but it's super soft. It's like probably the best stuff I've ever bought as far as, you know, fancy pants stuff goes. Oh, this was the festival map. So yeah, there was the festival. So yeah, there was 1, 2, 3, let's see. Building D was workshops. So Sarah and Garrett, if you tune in, we did not miss anything. It was workshops because I just watched part of the Canadian Knit Earth podcast. She's like, "We missed Building D." Like, workshops. It's in blue. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 vendor buildings. And then 13 vendor areas, because one was kind of a pathway. But I think we got them all. Twice. At least twice. So that was my second purchase. So then at that point, we leave building A. We decide, let's get a little snack. I got a scone and cafe mocha. And actually I got 2 scones for the price of 1 because I said, okay, I'll have a chocolate chip scone and a mocha. And he's like, oh, hey, I pulled these for another order and they were wrong. Do you want one for free? I'm like, yeah, of course I do. Well, they were huge. So I get my scones and waiting for the coffee, and Jen's like, I'm in front of A, I don't see you. So I was like, Sarah, can you get my drink for me? I'm gonna go look for Jen, because it was like literally right around the corner. So then I see her in her little yellow hat sitting on the bench. I'm like, hello, how do you not see me? I'm tall and wearing fingerless mitts, my Doctor Who mitts. I got my cat ears on. I had my handbrake on at the time. My Cat Lady podcast shirt. But anyways, so we met up with her and dragged her over to sit with us, and I gave her my other scone. I'm like, eat it, because I'm not going to eat both of these. So we both ate about half of the scone because they were huge. And I threw them back in my bag. So then we wandered around. So the 4 of us wandered around some more. And I'm trying to think if I bought anything else at that point. Oh, I did buy something else, but way at the beginning, I forgot. So right after I bought this one, the wild hair, I turned around and there was just the bin on the floor that said $20 potluck. So like everything in there was $20. I'm like, you're speaking my name. Bargain bin. So this is Decadent Fibers, confections for the fiber artist, pulled taffy, DK weight, 55% mohair, 45% merino. I've never knit with mohair either, but it doesn't look as like super. It doesn't look super duper fuzzy like mohair usually does. It's very soft though. But 8-ounce skein, 490 yards of DK weight for $20. I'm like, this is mine, and it's red. It's pretty. So I have no idea what it's gonna be. I have no plan for it, but I will find something for it because it's. I couldn't pass it up. It was the kind of the heaviest one of the. I kind of looked for the biggest one in the bin. So I was like, okay, this one's the most yardage. I'm taking it. And they were all kind of reds and greens and stuff. So I do see it's got a knot in it. So I'll have to work out, but that's okay. But yeah, 490 yards. I mean, I gotta do something cool with this. So. So yes, that was back at. And like, let me show the tag. That was Decadent Fiber. So that was one of your kind of. Probably local, you know, no one's ever heard of, probably may not have a, I don't know, who knows if they have an internet presence or not type thing, so, compared to your wild hair and Miss Babs and stuff, you know. So then, we wandered around some more. Yeah, I think I bought this after I bought all the, yeah, so then I had all the yarn, and I still wanted fiber. And I did not have, oh, I'll show this off real quick too. So that was all the yarn. So 1, 2, 3, okay. So I still was on the hunt for fiber, but by this time we were taking a break, and then it was time for the podcaster meetup, which was at 1 o'clock. But before I go into that, I got some minis from Jen. Like I said, I made a giant bag of minis for her, so she had some minis for me. So I'm just gonna hold up the bag, I guess. She also gave me a headband for my daughter, or for me, and a little something, another little pouch, sparkly pouch for my daughter. But here's some of the minis. I think this was her. Which one was her exclusive? She had an exclusive mini from Fiber Stash that she was giving away. I'm pretty sure it was this one. I really hope it was this one. Oh, brother. She wrote them all out for me, and I'm just now looking at it. Let's see. Green Sparkle Fiber Stash Twinkle Toes Frankenstein. So, yes. So, this was the Fiber Stash Twinkle Toes. She gave one of these to all us BKN podcast buddies. And then she put in a handful of other ones in there for me too. So, and she tried to write them out for me, so hopefully I can figure that out. If not, I'll bug her. And then I'll pull these out too. I got some pins from some people. Mostly at the podcast meetup. So we have, of course, Sarah gave me hers right at the beginning, which I already have one of hers, so I have two. And then I got 2 tangled skeins. And I'll probably try to filter in pictures as I go instead of keeping them all down. And then I got Jeanette, the bookish stitcher. Got to meet Jeanette. I was very excited. I had a bag for her because she had given me a lovely braid of Christmas colored fiber a while ago. So I finally, when I decided to go to Rhinebeck, I'm like, I'm going to bring you a bag because I apparently can't get things out in the mail. And then this was a vendor that we were talking to. She saw my shirt. She's like, oh, you do a podcast? I said, yes. So she's a Riot of Color. So she has some cool stuff there too. And she's like, and I said to the cat lady, she has her craft all the things, and gave her a card. And she's like, oh, I love that because, you know, I consider myself I craft all the things type too. So, so yeah, so then on to the podcaster meetup. So I got to meet up with Jeanette, the bookish stitcher. I got to meet Jessica, who was Sarah Nova Crafts, who is actually Jen's ride. So Jen rode with her, but I hadn't seen her until the podcaster meetup. So I got to see, which did I get? I got some cards, yeah. I guess I can show the cards. Oh, I don't have the cards. Okay, never mind. I don't have the cards. They are somewhere else. Do I have my cards? Are they with my cards? Because I was going to show you my cards, too. I had business cards, info cards. I really don't like calling them business cards because I don't really have a business. So I had some info cards made. Yes, here they are. Okay. So, had them made last minute at Staples, but they turned out pretty cute. So, originally I was trying to do 2-sided, but Staples does not do 2-sided same day. And I'm like, okay, I got these on like Wednesday. So, it was like, okay, Wednesday or Thursday. It was like right before I left. So, so yeah, those were cool. And they were cheap. So then, of course, I got Jen's. So yeah, Jen's are like super thick and glossy and 2-sided. So, there's the back. There's front, Uncreative Crafter. And then I got Sarah Nova Crafts with Jessica. Podcaster, blogger, test knitter, sample knitter. So yeah, she did some sample knits apparently for a vendor that was there. So me and Jen went and checked those out. And then I met up with, which I did not, now I don't remember if it was Karen or Maggie, and I feel bad for not remembering, but I will definitely check them out. Knit One Geek 2, she was commenting on my Doctor Who scarf and knits, I believe, and we chatted for a minute, so we exchanged info cards. So that's another podcast that I'd like to check out. And hopefully, I think she followed me on Instagram or somewhere. Or maybe YouTube. I don't know, so I'm going to check them out for sure. And I know a lot of you have probably already heard of that podcast, so I'm still learning new podcasts every day. So podcaster meetup. Okay, you know, not many people knew me, so I pretty much just like hung around, met up with Sue and Lynn and Selma, and then they had a friend, which actually I didn't meet the friend until dinner, but her name was Elizabeth, so she was super nice. Met her at dinner, but I met up with all them. I got pictures with Jeanette, and got a picture, of course I got a picture with Sarah earlier, but I got another picture with Sarah, I got a picture with Jen, I kind of did solo pictures. We got a group picture of most of us, not all of us. But it was kind of hard. It was a little bit chaotic, but and thank you to Garrett, Canadian Knitter's husband, for manning the camera for me, because every time I was like, hey, take a picture, threw my big camera at him, so, and he did a good job, so they were all in focus. That's all I wanted. So, yes, it was getting really cold by this time too, because the sun was kind of like, the clouds were coming in and out, so at this point, I threw on my Doctor Who scarf. So then I had my mitts, my scarf. I still had my cowl on underneath, so I was like all wrapped up in my, you know, I had a thin long sleeve shirt on underneath my podcaster t-shirt. So I was chilly, and we were just standing there. So, but I saw a bunch of other people like, oh, I know you, sort of. Then Jen and I were gonna go walk up to Kristen from Yarngasm, and we kind of stood there, and then she was talking to someone else, and we were just like waiting, and then they walked away. I'm like, oh, we missed it. But we had been hemming and hawing for like 40 minutes. Like, we should go say hi, we should go say hi, and we didn't. So there you have it. So then we all kind of split and went our separate ways. Me and Jen went off and did some more shopping, and it was still pretty cold. So, but we did more shopping. So I was on, actually, when did I don't remember. I maybe was before the meetup. No, I don't remember how any of this went, but okay, whatever. I was with both Jen, Sarah, and Garrett. Maybe we got split up after that. I don't know. But I was looking for an art bat. So I wanted a bat of fiber that had lots of odds and ends and stuff in it. So because we were going through pretty much the whole festival again, looking for an art bat. Found one vendor that seemed to have them. So this is what I got. It is a merino angora silk thread firestar bamboo. It's 2 ounces. It's $20. So, you know, it's not going to make a ton. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I just wanted something fun. And I'm almost thinking to put it on my spindle. And I don't have this company. Do they have a name on the back of their card here? Oh, they do. Okay. So this was it. This was the only art bat I could find. But it is very soft. Angora Online. Okay, so they kind of hand-spun Angora yarn, hand-dyed sock, shawl, and other yarns. Cute little bunny on there. And my husband just came home. So, anyways. Waiting for him to pop down or something. So I got that. And then, boy, this must have been before the podcaster meetup. Now that I think about it. But anyway, so then we're just hemming and hawing around, and maybe it was after. Boy, this was like 2 days ago. How do I not remember this? So then we're sitting around and I'm out of money. So it must have been, so yeah, I was out of money. So this was before, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It must have been after. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, I'm kind of out of money. I was joking, I don't even have enough for dinner. I was joking. I'm not poor, but I'm trying to stay on a budget, you know? So Jen's like, well, someone's got a birthday coming up. I'm like, well, I kind of threw her off, like, who? She's like, well, don't you have a birthday? I'm like, yes, I do. So she made me monies, and, oh, another thing I was looking for was a gradient braid. Ideally, I was looking for a gradient braid that went from black to white, or a gray, black, gray, white kind of thing, black to gray, or white to gray. I don't know, something monochromatic, ideally. So I couldn't find one of those either, but we went to a booth called Fiber Optics that had some really good just color gradient braids. And so she's like, oh, happy birthday. So she gave me some money to go get a braid. So here's my birthday present from Jen. Upside down. Fiber optic yarns. Merino silk. Steampunk. But perfect. Like gray to black to orange. Like this thing's really cool. So this was like fully fall colored, you know. So I'm going to try to put this on the wheel like right away. So this is my next spinning project. And I don't know if I mentioned I was maybe going to do this on the spindle. I think I said that. So I don't know yet. I kind of like the look of the art bats on the spindle because they kind of come up a little less uniform. So, so yeah. So this is why I really wanted to record tonight, because I wanted to get this thing on the wheel maybe tomorrow. But I'm a little nervous. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna attempt. I want to keep the colors as is, so I'm going to spin it all and then chain ply it back on itself in attempts to keep the color repeats. So that's the plan. And now that I haven't spun in forever, I'm kind of nervous. So, but I got that. And then we're wandering around a little more, and then I already said I was on a budget, but I mean, I couldn't pass this up. I could not. So we're wandering in the buildings again. I think we're in building one of the ABCs or something. And there was all these just giant braids or panks, whatever. Merino silk, a half a pound, so that's 8 ounces, $23. Merino silk. Like, seriously? So 4 ounces for like 25 or something. 8 ounces for 23. Like, okay, this is when I pulled out the credit card, because I literally wanted to save the money in my wallet for my toll home. So I put that on the credit card because that was like, look at this. And there was one there that was like, it was kind of like this, so it's like all these mixed colors. There was one that was like all gray, blacks, and white. I'm like, ah, that's perfect. I was walking over it and someone grabbed it. I'm like, I just missed it. So, but this will be awesome. And oh, this was the sheep's shed. So I'm guessing local, you know, minimal overhead for them to be able to have this so inexpensive. I mean, seriously. I really hope they have a website, because I want to check them out and see if you can order some of this stuff online, because that's incredible. Or at least see what festivals they go to so I can stalk them that way or something. So that was all my purchases, which was a lot. So I got 3 skeins of yarn and 3 fibery things. So after that, we kind of just wandered some more, and around 4 o'clock, the festival closes at 5. So around 4, I got a text from Sarah saying, we're in the car, we're cold and broke, just letting you know. And then Jen had heard from Jessica saying we're heading to the car, I think we're gonna get going. And they had decided to skip dinner with us too, because they had a 3.5-hour drive, and then Jen had another 1.5-hour drive on top of that to Rhode Island. So that was going to be a very long drive for them. So to meet us for dinner was just kind of out of the question at that point. So we said our goodbyes, and I wandered back to the car, and Sarah's like, oh, you didn't have to come back. I'm like, I'm out of money and I'm cold. So we kind of sat in the car for a few minutes, like, well, let's just head out of here. Let's beat the traffic and whatever. So we wandered around out and made it over to the restaurant we were going to meet at. And Sue and Lynn and Selma and their friend Elizabeth all showed up. We weren't there too much longer. We had stopped at CVS and got a snack, and I got cough drops because my throat was just like so dry, and just the sinusy stuff was kind of annoying. So we made it we were in Phoenicia, New York. It's like literally like in the middle of a mountain. So there we had no cell service. So like getting out of there, we're like, we're just gonna backtrack because we don't know where we're going. And hopefully we get cell service. So we had a little bit of a tricky time getting back home to the the hotel. But anyways, we made it. So yeah, we had a nice dinner. It was a lot of fun. Oh, another thing, if you see all the pictures, I'm wearing sunglasses because I left my glasses in the car. Got out of the car at Sarah's hotel, and I had put on my sunglasses, and I left my real glasses on my front seat. So I was stuck to my sunglasses all day because I cannot see. So I took them off partially, like at dinner, and just couldn't see anything. So it was kind of the running gag, like, well, I can't see what you're doing anyways. So, that was the worst part. Walking to the festival wasn't that big of a deal, but sitting down for dinner inside a restaurant with your sunglasses on was like, okay, this is ridiculous. So. But I had a couple beers, I got some chicken nachos, and it was good. So, and I was pretty hungry because, we didn't eat lunch or anything. I ate the rest of my scone at like 3 o'clock. Me and Jen sat in the sun on the hill trying to stay warm and ate the rest of our scones. And then she bought me a hot chocolate. So, she's sweet. And then we got back to the room and pretty much passed out. So we were back by, let's see, around 9 o'clock. I kind of organized all my luggage and my stuff I bought and kind of got everything packed, got my clothes ready for the next day, and then just, I was out by 9:30 and slept pretty well. Woke up at like 6:30. Sarah and Garrett woke up first, and kind of I woke up after that, which she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, oh, it's fine. This is, everyone else in my house is probably up, so this is cool. It just meant I can get on the road a little earlier anyways. So, and actually Jim had plans at 5:30 on Sunday night. And originally I called and arranged a sitter to come. Well, looking at my navigation, originally it said I was going to be home about 5. I'm like, okay, well, I don't think I need a sitter. Well, then after stopping a few times, I had a long way to McDonald's for lunch. I got home at like 5:25, so it was still perfect timing for him to just bolt. So, pretty uneventful drive home. It snowed in a few spots. Oh, on the way there, it rained in a few spots. I saw 3 rainbows, so that was kind of cool. So that was kind of like good luck on the way there. And so on the way home, not so much rainbows, but snow, which wasn't as fun. But by the time I hit mid-Ohio, the temperatures were in the 50s and it was sunny, so pretty smooth trip. I was pretty sore, I was pretty tired and ready to just be home, but the trip couldn't have gotten any better. So 10 hours. It was 10 hours. I didn't go through Canada because it really wasn't going to save me much time, and then I'd have to deal with crossing over 2 bridges and driving through a foreign country. So I opted just to go around through the States, and I'm glad I did, especially being that I was by myself. And so, so yeah, okay, well, I went into stash part 2, but I already did that kind of throughout, so, oh, yeah, and that was the last thing we did. So before we split, the last thing we did before we pretty much broke away is, we visited the Yarnet booth. I was gonna get a Yarnet. We walked there earlier. I looked at them. They're a little pricey. It's like $35. I'm like, I still want to get some fiber and stuff. I'm not really sure. So I passed. I'm like, maybe I'll just wait. I can get one, I think, from one of the local stores in Michigan. So, but I really want the sparkly one. She's hopefully coming out with a sparkly based or a sparkled top one. But we gave her our cards that we're podcasters, and, you know, we've heard from, I don't know, yeah, we heard you're gonna do the sparkly one, and she showed us she had a prototype in her bag. She's like, I'm thinking of coming out for Christmas, so I'm hoping that goes through, because those are pretty, and that would justify it for me. If it's sparkly, it would justify it for me, and maybe if it's around Christmas time. So, but in the meantime, she's like, hey, do you want to see what I'm working on now? So she showed us her large one. She went all over, like, what's schematics and how much it costs to produce and, like, all these crazy things. It was like, she was super nice. So, and then while we were talking there, Sue came up, and so, and then actually Sarah and Garrett showed up too. So we had a little powwow with the Yarnet lady. I think her name's Kate. So that was pretty cool. So we got to see the prototype for the new Yarnet, and it looked pretty cool. It was like, it's meant to either hold a big skein of yarn or 2 socks, and it's got a divider in it that separates them, and you can pull them separately, and so like all twisted and stuff. So, and it had like gauge in there and a ruler, and it's like everything. It was like, pretty much you didn't need a knitting bag. You just take this whole Yarnet thing. It's got like, and it's got your notions and everything the same as the other one, like a notions area underneath. So it was pretty cool. So I was excited to, that was pretty exciting. I liked meeting her, and she was very nice to us. So that was very cool. So hopefully in the near future, I will get a sparkly Yarnet. So once those come out. I want to say that's it. And I'm doing pretty good. It's an hour 8. That's pretty good. So I will litter in some pictures, maybe put some in there at the end. Again, if show notes will be on the blog, thecattlady.blogspot.com. You can find me on Instagram. And yeah, I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I got a bazillion pages of notes here. I think I got through it all. It was a really fun time. I'm very excited to meet all my friends that I've made over the past couple months. Sarah, Sue, Lynn, Jen, like, I consider them friends. I mean, even though I never officially had met them in person before, we VPN all the time, we chat all the time. They're great people, so I'm very excited to see them, and hopefully next year in August I'll be able to meet Rachel and Amanda, and maybe Mandy. I don't know if they're coming, but we all want to do the stitches in Chicago, so get to meet the rest of them. That would be so exciting. And Tanya, I know, was saying she was gonna try, but it's a lot. It's a lot for the ones from Canada definitely to come down here and and from the east. So for me, it's 5 hours. That's like nothing compared to what I just did. So so yeah, that's an easy one for me. So hoping to one day get to meet the rest of them, and then yeah, it was like an all-day weekend. It's like, when can we do that again? Because that was so much fun. So, and thank you, huge thank you to Sarah and Garrett. Seriously, that was like, for driving me around, for letting me stay in your room, just everything. That was incredible. Like, you have no idea, because I was terrified. Okay, traveling alone is scary. So anyways, so I need to go because my throat is dry, and I will see you next week. So next week, next week. This week is my birthday, so Thursday is my birthday. So I will hopefully have some. I know I'll have some silly presents to show because I already know what some of them are. So hopefully I'll have some fun stories, some fun birthday stories to share, and get to work on some projects. I need to get back into the craft show stuff, and yeah. So with that, I will say goodnight. See you next time.